Hey everybody, it's Carmen, churchministry.org, churchministry.com. Either link will get you to the website. Or if you want to participate and fellowship a little more, please do. Um, First of all, let me say Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you guys are having a good Christmas season, good holiday, and I'm going to go over a verse that's basically going to be talking about what it means to be a disciple. Okay? Jesus was very organized in the way that he spoke to the people and telling people, what it means to be a Christian and why it's important to stand firm in what you believe as a Christian. The specific verse that I'm going to utilize to explain this is going to be Luke 14:25 through 35, if you guys want to follow along, okay? There's a lot involved in this verse, and some people read this verse and they see, they see a negative side of Jesus. And some people actually use this verse, I've heard out of their mouths, to try to take people away from Christ or to take people away from fundamental Christian beliefs. But I'm going to break it down in a way that hopefully you'll not only have an understanding, but in a way that will help you teach it to other people to help them grow as Christians. And the main point is because it's Christmas. And so many people have gotten away from the fundamental point of Christmas, what it means for Christmas to Christians, and why people should still say Merry Christmas if you really believe that. In politics and the media and so on and so forth, people are being offended because people say Merry Christmas. Because I'm not a Christian. Well, that's okay. You don't understand the fundamental point of what it means to be a Christian. I'm going to break it down. And if you still don't want to be told Merry Christmas after that, then too bad. I'm going to tell you Merry Christmas anyway. Because that's how I am. And not to be a total douche. I'm not trying to be a prick. But the reality is that I really do mean well when I say Merry Christmas to people. And when I say it, I mean that I hope you have a good and healthy and a wholesome holiday. And that your family and everything about you is blessed. And that God has an active role in your life to make things around you better. That's what I mean by Merry Christmas. Because it's merry to be with Christ and have Mass. So let me break this verse down a little bit, and then I'll go into the fundamentals of what Jesus is talking about in this verse. First, to get started with this verse where it starts out in 25, he basically takes everybody that's been following him around, he stops and he gathers them all together. Okay, everybody's there. He says the multitude. He just gathers all in a group, like, hey, come here. And then he proceeds to tell them. He says, look, if you don't hate your father, your mother, your sister, your children, your wife, your neighbors, so on and so forth, you can't be my disciple. Then he goes on to say that, and if you can't bear this cross that I bear, then you can't follow me. Don't follow me. You can't be my disciple. He says, it's like you intend to build a tower, and you sit down first before you build the tower, and you count the cost, what it's going to be to finish it. Whether it's sufficient or not, you still build the tower. Try to. And then, even though you intended to build the tower, and you sat down, you realized you couldn't finish it, you still started it anyway. And then, when you just have a foundation for your tower and nothing else built, everyone will mock you and call you a fool. And say, this man, he started to build something and didn't, have a plan to really finish it. Basically, what he's saying in this verse is that if you want to be a disciple, you should be a disciple. Don't set out and plan to follow me. You give away your possessions, you've done everything you could do, and then it comes down to the nitty gritty, and now you're like, oh, but if so-and-so's offended, no more Merry Christmas. That's an example in this verse. So he goes on to say after that, he says, he takes it to another level where he's talking about kingship. If you're a king of a kingdom, All right? Because a lot of people who are disciples, you're not just there for you. Regardless you realize it or not, there are other people who see you, watch you, follow you, so on and so forth. And if you're a king and you're always trying to make peace, you're missing the fundamental points of what it is to help people and be a good steward of God's word. Okay? I'm gonna break it down a little more based on the verse. He says, if you're a king and you plan to go to war, and you don't sit down to count everything that you have for that battle and compare it to everything that's coming against you and see some kind of an outcome for yourself, is that a good decision to make? First thing he says. Then the second thing is, he says, or are you the kind of king that sends someone out, like an ambassador or someone to consult, to desire conditions for that peace? And if you are, will you forsake everything that you've been taught to be my disciple to satisfy that need? So basically, what he's saying is, the whole world is at war with you as a Christian. Okay? And as a disciple, you are a king of your world. You're a king of your space, your family, your friends, your loved ones. You should always be strong and tell the truth that you believe and see and can show. And not just based on what you can weigh, but the understanding that everything's already been measured for you. Now, I'm going to go to another verse real quick. I'm not going to go into details and go over the whole chapter, but it basically, to give you a quick breakdown, Jesus says that my Father in heaven has done nothing that hasn't already been finished. And basically what that means is, when you go forth as a disciple, you're doing things that are already preordained. Don't waver in your faith. Don't stop what you're doing because of what somebody else could think or say or whatever the case may be. And then in this verse, he goes on to say that if you are that kind of person that forsake Christ, is not willing to bear that cross and that burden for that specific purpose, then you're like salt that has lost its flavor. And that it's no good, and it should be thrown to the earth, to the ground, and trampled, basically, underfoot. There are some verses, some different Bibles. I use the King James, that's what I read. In my King James, it actually says that it loses flavor and it should be thrown into a dunghill or to the ground. Basically tossed into the poo because it's worthless. And if you have ears, then you should listen to what I've just said to you, because it's going to benefit you as being my disciple in the future, basically. So, are you an ambassador for peace? Are you a politician? Do you just tell people what they want to hear? Or are you the kind of person that walks into the store and somebody says, oh, well, happy holidays? No. Merry Christmas. And I mean it. Now, what does it mean by Merry Christmas? Get a quick breakdown real quick. All right. Of course, we're merry about Christ. Mass, meaning we're celebrating in fellowship together Jesus and his sacrifice and his birth. And that's primarily what Christmas is about. But it goes even deeper than that. So many people, you'll hear them say, well, let's go give food to the homeless, or let's go bring somebody into the house and invite them, perfect strangers. Because that's what Christmas is about, really. It's about fellowship. And those needs, the things that you feel deep inside, I say needs because I feel deep inside to want to do those things, and it becomes a need to me, not a desire. It's not stupid, but that's just how I'm built. But God has created your atmosphere to do these works, and these plans have already been laid out for you. And then when you do them, you don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to be done correctly, because you're doing what God's willing by fellowshipping. By going out there, you're feeding, you're visiting people who may be sad, whatever the case may be. You're just being a friend. You're just being there. And that is Christ-like. Now, I'm not saying that you should and you have to go out and minister to the world because God says, okay? But, yeah, I guess in a way I am. But do it in your way, is my point. You know, maybe you're really good at baking muffins. You know, maybe that's your thing. Or maybe you're good at making chocolate-covered pretzels. You know, and you dip the little shoved pretzels in the chocolate, you wrap a little plastic around them, put a ribbon on them, boom, Merry Christmas. You know, you go pass out 100 of those things, cost you $5 to make them. you know. But everybody who got one of those got a little piece of cheer for the moment, you know. Oh, Merry Christmas to you too, you know. And that's my point. It may, you know, no matter what your gift is, you have one. And if you don't know what your gift is, that's okay too. Just pray to God about it. And before you know it, you'll know what your gift is. Some people know what their gift is, but they'll deny themselves. And that is being like salt that has no flavor. Never deny the gifts that God has given you. There's nothing that God hates. Well, there's a couple things he hates more than that. But one of the things that God really detests is when you have a gift and an ability and you squander it. It's not what you give, it's how you give it. Always remember that, first and foremost. Being a disciple, being Christ-like, and celebrating in the spirit of Christmas is to be Christ-like. Give from your heart. Think about what you're doing consciously to know that no matter who it offends, you've done it in good nature, in the point of making people's lives better. And if you're doing that, that's what counts. That's what makes Christmas merry. You know? So many people get so upset. They're like, man, I didn't have this. Man, I didn't have that. I couldn't get my kid this for Christmas. I couldn't get that for Christmas. Man, I didn't really get what I wanted for Christmas. Totally missed the point. You know, and I guess some people have to experience what it's like to not have to get to that point of what I call faith and grace. You know, not having is sometimes the best teacher, but it's a lesson that I really wish people didn't have to go through to get to that point. So when I say Merry Christmas, that's what I mean. I want you to be filled with knowledge, wisdom, understanding. I want you to have a full belly. I want you to be warm, clothed, happy, and have a desire in your heart to carry that on to someone else and pay it forward. And if you're doing that, you're being a disciple and a minister. I just want to say God bless you. I appreciate your time. I hope that I've uplifted you, and I hope that this is giving you some insight about Christmas. And share this video with other people, you know. And just make no mistake about it. If you're not a Christian, you're Jewish, or you're a Muslim, or any other religion or Buddhist, I hope that you can take away all the fundamental things that your religion practices as good from this video. Because if you don't believe in Christ, that's fine. Give it to God. Pray to the one God. And He'll give you the answers. And I know because, as I've said in other videos, there's tons of proof to that. But if you can take away one piece of good from this, then I've served my purpose. And I say thank you so much, and Merry Christmas. Peace.